In this video, what I want to do is explain the endgame of Fallout 76's Wastelanders DLC. This is something that I imagine many of you are now approaching or even entering into. The two main endgame grinds are the faction reputation system as well as the gold bullion system. And what this will give you access to are the vast majority of the new weapons, as well as the new armors and even some new camp items that were added in with Wastelanders. And you've probably seen a lot of them. They are very present throughout the marketing material, and this is how you actually get them. I think a lot of people may not realize how extensive this grind is, so being focused and kind of knowing exactly what you want is definitely recommended. This is not something you'll be able to bang out in a week or even in a month, but even further, I have a few tips if you're somebody currently playing the game or if you're towards the end game, so you can actually maximize your success with this system. If you guys enjoy the content, you can leave a like or subscribe, or in the description, I do have a link to my merch store if you guys do want to check that out. But otherwise first, one of the first things I want to go over are some ways you can benefit in the faction reputation system if you're still playing the main story. So if you haven't completed things yet, if you already beat the main story and you just want to know what to do after, click to that timestamp. But if you're somebody that, let's say, started a new character and is going to replay the story on your main, definitely watch this segment, or again, if you are still doing it. For the vast majority of the main story in Fallout 76, the main thing you're concerned about is faction reputation. You won't actually get gold bullions until the very end, but that also is important. One of the biggest ways to boost your faction reputation is doing the raider or the settler quests. You can do both of these up until the point where you're getting ready to raid Vault 79. And it is highly recommended you do both up until the point of raiding Vault 79 because it is a significant way to boost your reputation. But even further, less obvious, if you're really trying to optimize this, several of these smaller choices you make all throughout the main story can carry faction reputation benefits. Also, consequences if you make negative choices towards a faction, but just as a general guide, throughout the main story, try and do the best thing for the faction. The nicest thing for a character trying to save them or just help them out in some way. These will pop up in the form of dialogue choices or just different choices you have throughout the story. And when you're actually doing these, make sure you turn them in particular to Meg. Oftentimes you might have made that choice, but you actually have to inform a character about it to get the faction reputation reward. This is a dialogue option that can very easily be missed and is sometimes a couple deep. But they're all throughout the story, and again, they do provide little bumps that will be helpful later on. And also, it just feels kind of natural and cool. But also, as you decide who you're going to raid Vault 79 with, that faction will get a boost to their faction reputation because you chose them, as well as the other faction will get a negative effect to their faction reputation because you didn't choose them. You can't avoid this, you have to make this choice. But a little later in this video, I'm going to show you some of the rewards from the two factions, so you can keep it in mind when trying to decide which side you want to get a jumpstart with. But when you get to the end of the vault raid, this is going to be a very important choice. You can choose to just keep all of the gold you found in the vault for yourself, or choose to share it with the one faction, or even share it with both factions. If you choose to keep it all for yourself, you'll get 1,000 gold bullions, and you'll get a slight hit to faction reputation. This is highly advised. Grinding gold bullions is significantly harder than grinding faction reputation, and the hit you get to faction reputation is really minor and small. So those are the tips for during the main story, but after you finish this, you're going to get access to the gold bullion system, but first, also the faction reputation system. At this point, you'll likely be cooperative with a faction. And although you get some minor benefits from this, the real meaty rewards start to come as you hit the next 3 ranks, that being friendly, neighborly, and eventually allies, where you get the best rewards. From here, there are a couple of ways to improve your faction reputation. The obvious ones are of course the daily quests. Every day, you should be doing the daily quest for both the raiders and the settlers to boost their faction reputation. There's not much to be said about those, just do them. There are a few minor choices you can make throughout them that may benefit you slightly more, like passing some of those skill checks or saving people depending on which faction. While the settlers only have 1 daily quest, the raiders have 2, and it'll actually cycle between them after you pick one the first day. So if you're trying to do the other one and you're like, why won't it let me? It's because it will go one then the other depending on which day it is. But even further, one you may have not known about is actually the Davenport daily quest. Davenport is the robot that is helping out the Overseer, and in his daily quest, you are required to take a picture of either Foundation or Crater. You pick one. So with this, there are a few different options. You could actually turn these pictures back into Davenport and you may get a rare camera reward. But if you are trying to grind faction reputation, you could also turn them into the opposing faction. So in my case, trying to boost raider reputation, I can take a picture of Foundation, the settler base, then go to the raiders and turn that picture in, which also gives a little bump to your faction reputation as well as some caps. And then there's also the Ohio River Adventures daily quest. This is a raider base, and you could sell Mirelurk meat products to them in exchange for faction reputation once per day. She'll accept a variety of them, but you get the most reputation if you give her queen meat. And also, actually, right next to her, Fishbones has a one-off quest that you could just do for raider faction reputation. It's not daily, you just do it once and then you're done, but since you're right here, you should probably do it. So an important note about all of those daily quests, they reset at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So a pretty easy strategy for grinding this out if you're not necessarily playing Fallout 76 that day. You could just jump on at like 7 p.m, do all of the quests, and then do them again right at 8:01 p.m. because they'll all have reset. But also keep in mind, you have to have these done by 8 p.m. Eastern Time or you'll miss that day's opportunity. Those are the typical ways to boost faction reputation. But another one that you could actually grind endlessly, there is no limit on doing, are random encounters. All over the map of Appalachia, you may find a random encounter where raiders or settlers are fighting something. When you see this, help the raiders or settlers fight off the enemy and then talk to the raider or settler and they'll give you a bump to faction reputation. This is super really small, but the unique aspect of this is you can do this endlessly. Once you find a spot where one of these random encounters consistently spawns, this map has been getting passed around. I believe it was popularized by the YouTuber Angry Turtle. I'll have a link to his channel down below. You could server hop there and grind out faction reputation as much as you want. I found the Marigold Pavilion to be a really nice one because you spawn in right in front of the interaction zone and immediately can figure out what's going on. It'll take a while. It's estimated that it's around 20 to 24 hours of grinding to max faction reputation via this method, but if you're tired of waiting for your daily quest to reset, this is really the only alternative. As far as the rewards that only require faction reputation and caps, there are a few. Right off the bat, you can actually get the bow as soon as you are able to access the bases of either the settlers or the raiders. Once you become friendly with one faction or another, which is this point on the faction reputation tree, you can unlock the crossbow or bow mods. This will be a variety of different arrow types: plasma, poison, explosive, cryo. And again, these are available at either factions. But interesting when it comes to those bow and crossbow mods, you could also buy them from a random encounter vendor. He tends to spawn here, you could server hop here looking for him, but then separately, once you become an ally with either faction, you do gain access to the compound bow mods, which just require caps to unlock. As far as the caps unlocks go, it's really just the bow, crossbow stuff. If you want some of the more substantial rewards, what you're going to need are gold bullions. So that's the next segment of this video, where you can actually see all of the rewards laid out. The way you get gold bullions in this game is significantly simpler. Again, from that final quest, which is actually a huge influx of gold bullions once you decide what to do with Vault 79. But then after that, what you're going to have to do are daily quests or events that award gold bullions. You won't actually get gold bullions directly. What you'll get are treasury notes. Treasury notes can be exchanged for gold bullions at these cash machines, and you can exchange for up to 200 gold bullions per day. And this will reset 20 hours after you first exchange things in the day. So it doesn't seem like there's a set time where this will reset, it's just dependent on when you first use it. A really easy way to get treasury notes is actually doing the Raider daily quest, the Settler daily quest, or Davenport's daily quest. Right there off the bat, you will have 9 treasury notes, of which you only need 20 in a day, so you're off to a pretty good start. After that, there's a variety of events that will award treasury notes. Here's a breakdown. Different events award them in different quantities. And also important to note, even though you could only turn in 20 treasury notes per day, you can still keep them on your character. You can grind out all day getting 100 treasury notes and just have it and not have to grind any of these subsequent days. Although that's not the only thing, as a separate way you could earn treasury notes is actually from Smiley. Smiley is a new character that you'll find on the top floor of the Wayward after you complete the main story. At Smiley, once per week, you could trade 6,000 caps for up to 300 gold bullions. This comes in tiers, so you could do it at different price points. And this does not account for that treasury note exchange rate, as with him, you're just directly getting gold bullions. But again, it is a once per week reset. Once you actually have your gold bullions in hand, there are 3 people you can exchange them with. Regs is the obvious one, that is the guy in Vault 79, but also Mortimer for the Raiders and Samuel for the Settlers. When it comes to Regs, it's pretty self-explanatory. Once you gain access to him, he'll just have everything. There's no hoops you have to jump to try and gain access to additional parts of his inventory. What you see is what you get, and what you see is all of this. Those are the rewards you can get from him. Conversely, when it comes to Samuel and Mortimer, it gets a little bit more interesting as you not only require gold bullions, but also require a certain faction reputation. So as you increase your faction reputation, they'll have additional items available. And just as a refresher, if you want to pause here, this is the name of each faction reputation rank, so you can know where you are. On the settler side for Samuel, right off the bat, he's going to have the Cattleprod and the Flare. Once you work your way up to friendly, he will unlock the Farmable dirt tiles, the Grocers backpack mod, as well as the Gauntlet and Gauntlet shock pads, the one mod for the Gauntlet. The Farmable dirt tiles are those things you could place indoors to actually grow crops, giving you a lot more flexibility over camp location. The Grocer's backpack mod reduces the weight of food items and drink items by 90%, although it doesn't stack with the perk through hiker. And of course, the Gauntlet is this thing. You saw it in New Vegas, you saw it in the trailers. Once you become neighborly with them, which is the next rank, you get the water well as well as the Chinese stealth armor and helmet. Something interesting about the Chinese stealth armor, you can get it for free from a quest. If for some reason you skipped that settler quest, you'll have to buy it, and it is ridiculously expensive as far as gold bullions go. So I would highly recommend doing that quest so you don't have to buy this plan. And then finally at the final rank, you get the Turbo Fert fertilizer as well as the Gauss shotgun and all of its mods. The Turbo Fert fertilizer being a better way to get fertilizer, the Gauss shotgun being the Gauss shotgun. On the other side of things, for the raiders, right off the bat, you do have the dynamite and dynamite bundle. As you become friendly, you gain access to the Chemist backpack mod, this reducing the weight of chems in your inventory by 90%. This also doesn't stack with perks. You get access to the 3 floater grenades, that being the Flamer, Freezer, and Nasher grenade types. And then finally, as you're an ally, you get the Amco Ammunition Construction Appliance, this being the ammo conversion machine, so you can take one ammo type and change it into another type, and then the Gauss minigun as well as its mods. So yeah, hopefully you guys can just reference this part of the video. I'm going to put this information in the description so you know how you can unlock some of these items or where you want to spend your time. Just to put this into context as to how long this can take, assuming you max out on gold bullions, getting the 200 per day as well as the 300 per week, it'll take you roughly 90 days to unlock the core plans for everything. So if you just want every new weapon as well as all the new armors without getting all of the accessories. Conversely, if you want everything, it looks like it'll be roughly 41 weeks to actually unlock all of the gold bullion rewards, so almost a full year. To put into perspective, if you want the full set of T65 power armor, the new power armor, that's a 4-week endeavor. And if you think, oh, well, I'll just trade for it. Actually, none of these items are tradable. None of the plans are, and then once you actually craft them, it doesn't seem like you could trade those either. When it comes to the new weapons and base armors, now crafting will require legendary modules. These are purchasable 1 per 50 script at the legendary purveyor. But one of the unique benefits is now with all of these new items, as you craft one, you will get a legendary variant, barring power armor and throwables and camp items, because of course those can't be legendary. The way the system works is it's a random legendary roll each time you craft an item. So one time I got a 1-star Cattleprod, the next time I got a 3-star Cattleprod with random effects. Once you learn the plan, you could also start getting drops of these items from random enemies or even from the legendary purveyor. But again, at least right now, these items aren't tradable, similar to the Strangler Heart power armor. If I craft a Cattleprod and get a really cool one, I can't sell that to you. I'm stuck with my Cattleprod. So to get some top tier items or a good legendary roll, there's quite a significant grind required for these new weapons. You first have to hit a faction reputation rank, then you actually have to have the gold bullions, then you have to have enough script to buy the legendary modules to craft it, and then repeat the last step until you get a desired legendary effect. This is why I really stress, don't waste those initial 1,000 gold bullions you get. That is a lot, and actually quite a bit more than you may have for a little bit thereafter. Hopefully you found this video informative. As far as my own thoughts on the system, I think it's actually a pretty interesting take by Bethesda. This has the potential to either really land or really frustrate people. There's been a lot of frustration around the endgame of Fallout 76, and this definitely provides a healthy alternative to that. Doing events with other people to grind out some of these items is actually fairly natural. It's a fun way to do that grind. Although the argument definitely can be made, some of these are just too expensive, like several weeks for a new power armor, that's pretty pricey. So we'll see. It's definitely more of an MMO approach. I'm not entirely sure how to feel about it thus far. I'll probably have to start doing the grind for a couple of weeks and we'll see how quickly I get over it. And of course, all of those time frame numbers are assuming you're staying active and actually doing the grind each day. But if nothing else, I like that they attempted something. They gave us some free option to keep us entertained towards the end of the game, and there actually are some tangible rewards with that. Either way though, this was a longer one, but hopefully it was informative. Hopefully you now understand how these systems work, how you can actually get some of these new items. I was going to do a every new item in Wastelanders video, but it seems like that might take a really long time, so probably not. But either way, I thank you all again for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.